Hey, look, it didn't even do that. So, happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday, March 30th. Welcome here to the TED Show, episode 148, I believe, which is amazing. I'm here with Bridgette Thompson and her sister, Miranda Cady, which you guys should know from the TED Show. She's a TED Shy alumni. Did you say alumni? Anyway, let us know you can hear us or see us. I think you can. This mic is really awesome. Just give us a thumbs up. Got the thumbs up, so we're golden. Bridgette just got off the plane, seriously, and literally they whizzed in here 15 minutes ago, and we got all set up. So
I appreciate. You thought MCO was a nightmare? It was great today. I'm just letting you know. We're getting better.
We're getting better. We're working on it. So I'm very thankful to have you here, and I think it's so sweet that you're spending your first basically 20, 30 minutes on the TED Show, so you're going to really need a break after this.
So the history behind this is I told Miranda, my sister, that I wanted to spend a day in her life in Orlando.
Wow, you should have the Miranda Show.
Yeah.
Ted, we can collaborate on
this.
Apparently a day in the life of Miranda starts on the TED Show, so I'm honored
to
be
that.
here.
I'm very excited to have you.
I'm honored to be here.
I really am. And hello, Rebecca. How you doing? I just saw Josh, by the way. So when Miranda suggested it, of course I said yes immediately because I love meeting new people, and I knew if Miranda loved you, obviously, she doesn't have to, but she does, that you would be amazing. And then I looked at your bio, and then I looked on LinkedIn, and you're this kind of international woman of mystery.
Yeah.
Hey, Tracy.
Yeah.
And so give us a little bit of background about you.
Sure.
Please.
Well, I think Miranda shared on her show with you before, just kind of our humble upbringings in Minnesota, and I think we really grew up with a very strong work ethic, and when we became older, realizing that we had probably some of the most amazing mentors that a gal or a young man could ask for, but you really don't realize that until you grow up and reflect back on that upbringing.
Just a little preface for people who might not have seen the show that I did. Our grandfather hosted senators and different dignitaries at our small rural home in southeast Minnesota because he ran a department of the agricultural field for Bush and Reagan. So we grew up very different than a lot of our peers in the town of 1,300 manufacturing, agricultural, small town
So
people.
Early on, you all had this amazing group of different people, different mindsets, different thoughts, and lots of probably open dialogue and conversations.
I remember talking to Senator Paul Wellstone at the age of 9, and he let me drive the Senate train. Like, these are the type of experiences that we're talking about in Minnesota.
I love that.
But you don't realize how differentiated that kind of upbringing is. But I think when you think about the growth mindset, which is really the topic of our discussion today, is we also had a great juxtaposition of kind of our other side of the family who very much kind of lived off the land, never lived beyond their means, and never really wanted to, even if they could. And so we had this amazing kind of juxtaposition of lifestyles as we grew up, and it taught us, one, humbleness, two, the hungriness and the hunger of what a good work ethic instilled in you brings, and from both sides of the family, from the political family and also from kind of the more humble live off the land family. How do you sustain yourself from the land that you grew up on? How do you kind of navigate the business world? And so
our mother's father actually made maple syrup, literally attacked from maple trees in southeast Minnesota.
Awesome.
He was very of the woods. Like, you picture Justin Timberlake, Man of the Woods. This guy had it way.
So how was it? So you had the different families. How was it? Were they copacetic growing up, or did you because a lot of times when you've got that much of a difference between how households are, they don't communicate well with each other. How did that work?
Bridgette, may I?
Sure, please.
Our grandma Cady actually bought morel mushrooms off of my grandpa Becker. So if that gives you some, she was sauteing the morel mushrooms for her Bon Appetit meal that he gathered. So it actually was a really symbiotic relationship.
I love that.
I'll let you give your take.
But, I think that, very early on, having that hard work ethic instilled in us is really what started what I call the growth mindset. And that's a common term out there in the business world now, but it's the ability to be empowered to to learn whatever it is that you feel like you want to learn, and to have that support system behind you. And I guess that's really the message that I bring, is that whatever it is that you have your heart set to, your mind set to, get out of that fixed mindset. Don't let other people box you in a corner, put you in a box, or try to, perfectly wrap you up into what they think you should be. If you have a desire and a passion, and something that you can bring to the society that you live and work in, go for it, go after it.
So, but people don't. So, I love growth mindset,
Yeah.
right? So, I understand what you're saying, because we talk about it on the show a lot.
Sure.
I actually I went off and pontificated last Friday, sort of about this. So the thing with growth mindset is that people go, yes, hey Ryan, hey guys, I know you guys have been saying hi, hey Tracy, we love you guys.
Pete, I saw you join.
Yeah, Pete, hey Pete, and Bert and Joe.
And I will call you. I got your message.
So the thing with growth mindset, so people are like, yes, 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 and then they feel like they don't have the tools, the resources to make that step, or they're not surrounded by a support group that they feel like they can venture out without either getting knocked down, and especially if there's no support, or if they're relying on a job that is keeping the family alive, they're afraid to get outside of that mindset. So how do you take someone who might be fearful and get them to at least the first step that they can take?
Sure. Well, I think Miranda and I have always had a great symbiotic relationship. And yes, we're sisters, but I also consider her one of my best friends, if not my complete best friend.
It's mutual.
Yeah. And so I'll just take this as an example. As you guys know, Miranda's an artist, an author, a writer, has a very robust kind of background. And when she was starting to think about becoming a realtor for Sotheby's, I remember having this conversation with her, and
it was a really tough decision for me going into the real estate market and having a diversified background and a lot of connections, but not necessarily the expertise that a lot of colleagues and peers might have.
Sure.
So I think that's a great example. But we really talked about it and encouraged her and said, why not? At the end of the day, we're all just people, and I think that's if you take down the titles, take down the family heritage, at the end of the day, we're all just people.
Agreed.
I had a really, just to preface a little bit for people who don't know the situation, I had a really great offer, over 6 figures, starting out with a brand that wasn't Sotheby's. And that's where the moment of, I really loved the affiliation between the art and the real estate.
Yes.
And Sotheby's has a strong culture and heritage that really aligns with my morals and values. But there was a monetary offer on the table for a brand that really wasn't a top runner or leader in the industry. And I was struggling with making that choice, and I felt like my sister really just helped me clarify what the objective and the long-term
What a
goal
beautiful
was.
thing to have that to bounce off. So you said something earlier, Bridgette, a few minutes ago, about you all said when Miranda came to you, why not? Most people who are trying to figure out how to get to their dream, get outside of their comfort zone, they get a lot of whys.
Yeah.
So they're being challenged to go, why would you do that? Why? How is this going to help? Is this really going to be something that's fruitful or actually doable? So a lot of people that I talk to on the show and just in general, they don't have that wonderful why not support. So what resources can somebody do? And I'm putting you on the spot because we haven't talked. Obviously, we all joke that the R&D money here goes to booze, folks. So I need to probably research. Cheers. But I think a lot of people are challenged. They watch the show, they feel empowered, and then they go, well, I don't have a Miranda and Bridgette relationship. So what do I do? Who do I go to? What do I do next that I can personally do?
Sure. I think this is what's so fabulous to me about technology, because 20 years ago, this was probably not an option. But you have pretty amazing platforms like LinkedIn or just the internet in general. You can self-teach practically anything, to be honest. And there are so many resources out there. I think actually too many resources. But I think the LinkedIn platform, the Lynda platform, you can really look at any topic, and for a minimal fee, register to sign up for some of those courses. There's a lot of major universities now that are offering their own educational platforms. MIT has it. Some of the major universities that you all might be familiar with. I'm sure a number of the universities in Florida offer that as well. But it's not the extravagant cost of your typical college degree, but it's something a little bit more budget conscious that you can really go out and self-teach teach your mind anything and kind of have that growth mindset. So I think there are a lot of resources out there, but Ted, your next question might be, well, what if I don't like to self-teach?
Well, no, that would have been my next question, because a lot of people look here, because people want to get from A to B, but they don't understand the journey from A to B.
Yeah.
And then if some of them have never been on a journey outside of A
right.
at all, never even thought about it, or if they've begun to thought about it, they didn't know how to make the step.
Sure.
I think actually Bridgette and I had this conversation last night, and it was so important because it really builds off of the video I shared of yours so passionately about surrounding ourselves with people who provide that symbiotic relationship. And I'm going to name drop my beautiful friends, Karen Corbin, Bobby Davidowitz's sister, who is an absolute delight. Every time Karen and I get together, it's a relationship very similar to the one I have with my sister, where she feeds me and we leave feeling inspired, like we can tackle the world.
Isn't that lovely?
In fact, she suggested that we go on this outing for a weekend, inspiring each other with a whiteboard and just change everything, right?
I love that.
That's the type of relationship. When you find those people, you need to realize how important they are and how rare they are. And I'm fortunate to have that relationship with my sister. But when you have someone in your life who can see your best potential self, the things that you're capable of achieving in life, where your shortcomings are, now that's a key factor too. You need to know what the hindrances are.
I
to
agree
achieving those
100%.
goals. And Bridgette points this out for me, and that's where she's very business mind analytical, and she points out, Miranda, these are the shortfalls. This is where your hindrance is going to be, and this is how you circumnavigate that. You need to have someone who really, really balances you, whether it's a family member, a colleague, a mentor, someone in your social circle, and it shouldn't just be one person. We were talking, 3 to 5? You think?
Yeah.
It should be 3 to 5 people like that, where they really push you to be your best self.
I love that. And I just want to let you know, Rebecca, thank you for posting this. She said lynda.com is available free for Orange County, Florida library card holders in good standing. So
there you go.
This is a resource, and we'll share that later and look at the post that Rebecca Soto did. So there's a resource that's free that you can utilize. People just don't know. They don't get it. And I want to piggyback on what Miranda was saying. If you have a lot of naysayers and toxicity in your life, first of all, go look at that video from last Friday. But anyway, I don't know. I was in a mood. Here we go. I was on a little bit of a rant. But she's right. If you are surrounded by people are just telling you no, 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 try to find a new circle. I hate to say that. And I'm going to do I'm not going to call it a rant because I don't want to come across like that. But I'm going to talk today about your value and valuing yourself and that you are worthy. And I think people need to realize that if they have an idea and a passion, just because they're surrounded by people that don't agree with it doesn't mean that it's not real. And then find some new people, venture out.
And when
sorry.
No, please keep going.
We actually do this on the phone with each other at night
I
too.
love it.
When someone else has confidence in you that you don't have in yourself, and you see their vision of what you can become, it really opens up the doors of opportunity. And I've got my sister here today, and she's been watching Orlando and what's happening in the Orlando scene, and just in awe and inspired. Coming from Chicago, she's spending a lot of time in London, Toronto, New York, and she's really motivated by what she sees happening in Orlando.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be in the position I am if she didn't value who I could become and give me the courage to go there.
But I gotta say, I think it's actually really encouraging me to me, because I have been watching Miranda's posts on the collective on Purpose
Pioneers.
Purpose
We love
Pioneers.
Thomas and Alex.
But I've been watching those, and for the last, I would say 15 years, I've really kind of focused a bit more inwardly on my own career, on my own family, and really in the last 2 to 3 years, I've shifted focus to trying to encourage others. And then now actually Miranda is encouraging me to get more involved in my community.
That's awesome.
And so what you guys are doing here in the Orlando market has been really inspiring to me. So I've got to shift my focus a little bit beyond just my career and my immediate family and it's inspiring me to do more for my community. And so I think it's fantastic what you guys are doing, but it all speaks to the growth mindset. You've got fantastic groups of people focused on solving some really important and purposeful issues here in the Orlando market. And that's really what the growth mindset is about. It's about not only challenging yourself, but challenging those around you to be their best and to do the best for the communities that they're working in. And I think that's what's so fantastic about what I'm seeing here through Miranda's Facebook feeds, and now Ted, that we're connected through your Facebook feeds. I
had to force her. I'm like, you have to be on Facebook so I can tag you.
But you know, I want to give some examples to the audience of, you know, my own kind of personal struggles in my career, because even though I grew up with a very strong family unit support system, you know, pretty much after our grandfather passed away in the 90s, I felt like that really strong business mindset, and our father passed away when we were quite young. So I feel like that kind of stronger business support system went away a little bit. And not that we didn't have emotional support from the rest of our family. I felt like I had to kind of navigate the rest of my career a little bit solo for a while. But I want to give an example of kind of the growth mindset. And Ted, you made a comment about not letting other people bring you down. And so we all experience that in our personal lives and in our careers. And, you know, I've been fortunate to have mentors and bosses that I've loved, and that I haven't really cared so much for. we've all been there. We've all had that. But I wanted to give one very concrete example of a manager kind of towards the end of my career at one firm who didn't see the value in what I was doing for the firm, even though externally it was getting recognized by the industry, and what I was doing was beating industry standards by far, and I had the metrics to prove it. But it was because I was more kind of advertising, sponsorship, event focused in my career, and this was a product person. He valued product, and I would challenge.
Is that when you did the PGA event?
Yeah, so
I love that.
So event. I was hosting, you know, the Ryder Cup and Solheim Cup events, and you know, major advertising platforms on some of the financial brands that some might be familiar with. But
so we can't mention the name of the company, but Bridgette does marketing for a financial firm.
That's why I said International Woman of Mystery based on your LinkedIn.
We can't say anything. She's
fine.
tied under contract, but she does marketing for the financial industry. And who would not be proud of someone who's hosting a PGA? I thought that was very impressive.
But I guess my point is there's also people who will give you feedback that maybe you weren't expecting, or maybe that's a bit negative. And I would challenge people to listen to that feedback, because sometimes your worst critics, you need to take it with a grain of salt and reflect on it. And what I did with that is I acknowledged that I had a gap in kind of the product marketing of my background. And my next role, I pursued a product role, because I never wanted somebody to bring me down and to discredit me because I didn't have a product background.
That's awesome.
So I purposefully went and rounded that area of my expertise out. But what's ironic in this whole journey is that later on in my career, at a different step in my career, to take on more responsibility, I came to find out that the same manager who'd kind of pulled me down was interviewing for the same job that I ended up getting, and he didn't.
Oh my God. I love that story more than I thought I would. That's
true.
Awesome.
I told you she had a good one to wrap it up with.
So this is true.
Awesome.
But I just, you've got to take that criticism with a grain of salt and turn it into something positive. And you might, in fact, have a kind of a deficit. It might be business. It might be your own personal character that you need to work on. So don't completely discount the naysayers, but take it with a grain of salt, reflect on it, but turn that feedback into something positive that you can move forward in your personal life or in your career. Is really my
awesome. And you know what? You're 100% right, because a lot of times those people are very good at finding a hole in your belief system and your work ethic. And sometimes that is a mirror, as painful as it can be. It doesn't mean you want to let them bring you down. You just want to use it as a learning tool, a learning process. And so I love that story, and I'm so happy that you got that job and that person didn't, because I think all of us can clap for that and applaud for that. All right, so leave us, both of you, since we have two of you, We want to, and we're going to share all of, well, what we can, I guess. International, go to Austin Powers, International Woman of Mystery, or Bridgette Powers. But
LinkedIn's a valuable tool.
LinkedIn is valuable. And we'll share all of their contact information. Obviously, I tagged them both. But both of you, give them parting words of wisdom. First of all, I love that story. I'm going to tell that story a lot because I think a lot of people, before you go into that, a lot of people will sit here and they will have listened to their critics, and then they never see the fruitfulness, and then they see people who are negative in their minds. They're always progressing. And sometimes they're progressing over them. And so it's a very painful process. And so if you know that you have a dream and you actually give yourself the value, again, which we're talking about and I'm going to talk about later, then you can find ways to capitalize on the fact that that person is moving that way, but you're going to move in a better, more positive direction. So don't let that get you down. I know it's very difficult, but you go back to Bridgette's story. That's it. That's the one that you always want. I'm not about karma. I'm totally about karma.
Someday you'll be there with your boss and he'll be interviewing and you'll get the job, and that's just how it goes.
That's correct. And so you want to embrace that, but don't get caught in the negative of all of the people who you feel are being negative around you progressing. Because in reality, people do progress, evil, good, whatever it is, but that has nothing to do with your progression. I don't want you to get caught up in what other people are doing, where they're moving. I would really love to see you just focus on you, just focus on where you're going, and take whatever they said, like Bridgette said, with a grain of salt, but listen to it. But don't let it bring you down further. Let it help you progress.
Exactly.
So any parting words of wisdom, both of you?
You first. I'll cap off.
I guess what I would say is, I know a lot of people put sometimes self-value in their resume or what's on paper. Maybe you don't have the master's degree, maybe you don't have the PhD. But what I was telling Miranda the other day is, I've got my undergraduate degree, but I've progressed quite far in my career because I say I've got a master's in hard work and a PhD in people. So if you put hard work into it, no matter what it is that you're doing, whether it's in the community or at work or your family, it's always going to be hard work. Nothing's ever easy. And how much do you care about the people around you? How much do you invest in the people around you? I think that's really where you'll see people succeed. And I'm not knocking people with master's degrees or PhDs. They're absolutely valuable. I've just had 3 children along the way in my career and focused on that in addition to balancing my career. So I think if you put people first, put your passion into other people, and work hard and roll up your sleeves no matter what it is that you're doing, you will succeed. It might not be in the timeline you're thinking, but those seeds will sprout and spring will come. And I would just leave you with those encouraging words.
I love that. Absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah.
This coming from a woman who could definitely within the next year be a global CMO of any front-running corporation. And that's no joke, Bridgette. I'm not just saying that because you're my sister. I mean, you do a lot of valuable things in the financial field and otherwise. But I feel like you should actually probably pursue some consulting work because based
100%.
We'll see.
I have a personal
Well, we're not exactly
experience,
sure what she does, so maybe she does consulting.
She's going to do consulting. She also speaks on panels, and probably the next TEDx, you'll see a TED Talk from Bridgette.
Very cool. You would be great at that.
Whatever path you take, I believe in you. And I think that's the one thing that I want to leave people with today is, from a personal standpoint outside of business, find the person who believes in you. Find the person who pushes you, find the person who motivates you, and don't take no for an answer. I wouldn't be here today in Orlando the way that I am now if it weren't for this beautiful woman representing me in times that I felt weak and supporting me in times that I needed encouragement. And just find that person, whoever it is for you, whether it's a neighbor, a coworker, a friend, and boost each other up. Obviously never leech off that person. They are valuable, treat them like that. And Ted, speaking of value, I have a really cheesy gift for you.
You have a cheesy gift? Those are my favorites.
So I thought about bringing turnips and radishes, dripping with dirt and a broom. But I promised you I'd package it sweetly.
Oh yes, what did you bring me?
I brought you. We talked about sprouting and growing today and developing. So this, even though it looks like an ivy plant, that is 5 different sweet potato plants for you and Stacy to put in one.
Oh, Stacy. She was on here
Hi,
earlier.
Stacy. I saw you earlier.
Growth mindset.
Growth mindset.
Growth mindset. Oh my God, this is so awesome.
These will grow really well in a shaded area. Clayton Fiora will tell you that some in Uganda, I think they only eat the greens, and Peru they only eat the root. But you can do whatever you want. Just use it as landscaping
What a pretty,
material.
thoughtful gift. Thank you. I forgot we had that
appreciate
conversation.
you. Yeah,
this
we
week.
did.
That was just this week. Can you believe
literally
it?
A couple of days ago. Yeah, I
insane.
promised him I wouldn't be Farmer Joe bringing in radishes and turnips.
That would have
but-
been. That's a whole
Yeah,
other show.
I
This
bought
is
him
a
a
beautiful,
big
thoughtful gift. Yeah, that sort of looks like. I love this
Right.
color. It's ruby red almost.
Yeah.
Just
you,
so.
you guys have been wonderful. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you
Thank
for
you for
having
coming
us.
from the airport and just coming here and engaging in the audience.
Oh,
You
of
see,
course.
we have a lovely, amazing, hungry, thirsty audience out there for positive and
We
to
love
have you
Orlando.
on.
Yeah, we love Orlando.
do.
I'm trying to get Bridgette and her husband and family to move here. So if
Oh,
anyone
see,
has a
there's
great
the,
opportunity,
there's the ultimate ploy.
I'm not
it.
gonna lie, I love my sister. So whether she's investing in real estate here locally or just coming and being my best friend, if anyone knows of an opportunity, I want to bring her here.
So, and that's the thing
She's not
about
looking, but-
about Orlando. So one last thing, and I'll
Sure.
close out, is that so the people that are sitting out there going, you live in a great community. So you don't know anyone. You can utilize the resources that we've talked about. The TED Show, the alumni are amazing. You should reach out, go through the shows.
Yes.
This is not self-promotion. I'm just telling you there's some amazing, wonderful human beings who are accessible to you, who will gladly, if you say, I saw you on the TED Show, I really want to pick your brain. There's your resource. There's your positive. There's the people. If you feel like you have absolutely nobody else, start with the TED Show alumni because they're amazing.
You know what, Ted, you bring a great point, and I know you're wrapping up. You talk about moving to Orlando. There are beautiful people here. If you're in Toronto, if you're in Chicago or New York, and you want to move to Orlando, find people like Beth Hobart. I'm gonna name drop. I'm in the real estate industry. I'm gonna name drop
We
Beth
love Beth
Hobart.
Hobart.
Find the Beth Hobarts, find the Miranda Cadys, find the people who are passionate, the Eric Rollins of this community, who also do real estate, who know the events, who know what's going on downtown, who know how you can make the most of your business and get you well networked and connected in the community, because Orlando has a lot to offer. You know, Chris Castro is bringing great things
He's
to the
amazing.
community with green organic living and a
Look
growth
at that.
mindset. Oh, I did
My
that on
friend Mary
purpose.
said
I'm
we're
not
gonna
lie, I did
we're gonna
that on
start a
purpose.
garden. Mary, you're
Oh,
gonna have to
I
tend
would
to that
love
garden.
to garden. So many people have been reaching out to me for that, but find people who can get you connected with the hobbies and passions that you have at the events where you belong, and make Orlando your home.
And get out of that comfort zone.
Yes, get out of your
Reach
comfort
out.
zone. Find the person that pushes you.
All right, thank you guys so
All
much.
Wonderful.
Thanks,
We
Ted.
love you guys. We have two more shows coming up.
Yeah.
We've got a matchmaker coming on at 1 o'clock, and then a beautiful charity. You should totally. I actually have an audience that's
Yeah.
allegedly coming in to talk to Lisa Sue. But we love you guys so much. Thank you for engaging. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Love
Our
you.
pleasure.
Bye,
Bye, Ted.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.